Hello and welcome back to the Pop-Up Podcast here at When Words Collide 2025. I'm your host, Lucas, and with me is...
Christina Lara.
Christina, thank you so much for sitting with me today. How are you?
I am good so far.
Awesome. How have you been enjoying When Words Collide?
It's been great. It was great last year. It's great this year.
Awesome. How many times have you been?
This is my second time.
Same for me, second time. So what have you gone to? What have you seen around here so far?
So I went to see the keynote with Eden Robinson and the opening ceremony, and I also saw the breakfast keynote with Stephen Graham Jones and the lunch keynote with Finian Burnett.
Oh, fantastic. Are you a writer yourself?
Reader, writer, ex-gravedigger.
Oh, awesome. Perfect trilogy. So when it comes to stuff you write, what do you usually lean towards, like genre or style?
I mostly write fantasy.
Awesome.
Sometimes it leans a little bit into horror, though that's always a surprise when that happens.
All right. Love me a good twist. When it comes to the stuff you write, would you say you have kind of a main inspiration anywhere, whether it's another writer or just a piece of work?
Oh, that's a hard one. I don't know. I read a lot and I think about a lot of stuff, and sometimes I just get really down rabbit holes of things. Yeah. And I tend to draw a lot from family history.
Awesome. I mean, comes from the heart, that's the best stuff. So you had mentioned, you do fantasy a lot, sometimes bridges into horror, other genres. What made you want to start in fantasy?
I don't know. I was 6 and I wrote a story about a girl who found that the bathroom at school was haunted by a monster, so she went and got a bunch of friends together and they killed the monster.
Oh, okay. Nice. Sounds like classic.
I might have watched a lot of Sailor Moon at that point.
You know what? Knowing that, yeah, I could see it. Good old Sailor Moon. And actually, kind of speaking of Sailor Moon, do you think that kind of team-based, classic storytelling, and you can also see it in stuff like Stephen King and movies of the 80s, do you think that those kinds of ensemble stories lend themselves well to stuff like fantasy, or is it kind of more kept in the mystery side of things?
I think ensemble stories are great for fantasy because you tend to think of fantasy, you either have epic fantasy with the chosen one, or you have the sword and sorcery with the lone hero who goes from place to place. Yeah. But I think fantasy for me is always more about the team effort, because I don't think any of us are going to go anywhere good if we're trying to stand by ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely agreed. And when it comes to some of the recent stuff you've written, have you tried to kind of hammer home a certain character or hone a certain character type with your story? Like, do you usually follow a certain protagonist?
See, my protagonists tend to be working class people who end up a little bit over their heads when they stumble into the magic. Okay.
Oh, and kind of on top of that, when it comes to your fantasy stories, do they usually take place in fantasy worlds, or like you said, is it more something grounded and then goes into fantasy?
About 50-50.
Okay.
I like a good world fantasy, but I also like a good secondary world fantasy.
Nice. Now, same for me. I like a good mix of both. And here at When Words Collide, I've seen a lot of people talking about fantasy on this show as well. There's been a lot of talk about fantasy and how it kind of crosses over with other genres, like you mentioned horror, for example. Do you think fantasy as a genre, when it comes to literature, do you think there's still an audience for it?
I think so. I think that people really do still enjoy telling stories. I mean, some of the oldest stories we listened to when we were kids can kind of be thrown under the umbrella of fantasy.
Yeah.
And I think there's just so much wonderful, diverse fantasy being written now that is just absolutely horizon broadening.
Yeah.
And that's great.
For sure. And like you said, when it comes to broadening horizons with that type of thing, do you or have you seen fantasy as a good vessel for real life social issues to kind of be portrayed in a way that can be easier to digest for some people?
Let's see. I'm going to just kind of put two series.
Yeah. Go for it. Go, yeah.
So first one would be the Radiant Emperor duology by Shelley Parker Chan, where the protagonist is gender fluid and is basically assigned femme at birth and kind of has to deal with the fact of, because of their assigned gender, the character really uses she/her pronouns, but I know a lot of people who talk about it tend to use they/them pronouns for the character. Yeah. And basically how the societal pressures and how the protagonist navigates those.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. I mean, a common theme, kind of what I've seen from talking with different people, is that different genres, no matter how different they may be, can be great ways to explore real-world topics and unique and interesting ways, kind of interweave them with the story. And you had mentioned kind of a 50-50 when it comes to full fantasy or like the half-and-half fantasy. And, if you were writing, a fantasy story, do you usually work from the ground up from your characters or from a certain topic or problem you want to express?
I like to think about it from the perspective of the characters first.
Okay.
Although the one I'm working on right now was prompted by something I saw on Tumblr, and I was like, oh, that would actually make a fun story.
Oh, yeah, fair enough, yeah. Awesome. And if someone listening to this right now wanted to check out some of your work, where could they find it?
So I've had one story published about 10 years ago in the 13th volume of Furt Flatiron Anthologies, their Ain't Superstitious anthology. More recently, I was lucky enough to have a story accepted by the Capital City Press Anthology for the Edmonton Public Library.
Oh, congratulations.
That one's called Be Bold, But Not Too Bold. And it's a content warning for abusive relationships if you're going to check out that one, but it's a flash piece and it's a little bit more accessible.
Fantastic. And if anyone listening wanted to find you, do you have any social media?
So I am available on Blue Sky. You can look me up there as Christina Lara, or my handle is @NotACat and account is spelled ACCT.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, Christina, this is all super interesting. It's nice to have a huge fantasy fan here to talk to about this stuff. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you.
It's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Stay tuned for more of the Pop-Up Podcast from When Words Collide. Thank you.